Welcome back, everyone, for some modern action. It has been a little bit since we've had some Monday Modern, at least for 2016. We've been doing a bunch of different content over on the channel. Of course, I'm NanMans, so thanks for tuning in as we dive into it. And this is a little bit of an interesting one, a little bit of spice with this one because there was a comment that was left on our video for our Thursday one of the Jeskai Stoneblade versus Living End, one that really kind of stuck with me of the idea that our channel is so focused on trying to help people improve and get better and stuff like that, whether it's as the players that we're seeing on camera or as a viewer trying to learn from experiences. And this match in particular was one where there was quite a few moments, learning moments, mistakes, things that have happened in this match when I was editing it that I noticed that I thought would be a great one to show off on the channel, so we could try to go through and find those moments together as the viewers as we go through it and kind of pick up those spots and learn from, because that's the idea, right? Where you're not going to go up and play a deck and immediately be perfect at it. Whether you've played it for a while or not, you're still going to find a line that you might mess up or make a mistake. In particular, we've got our Grixis Reanimator player here, so if you're not familiar with the deck, the idea is you're going to utilize cards like Faithless Looting, Thoughtseize, these disruption cards, discard cards to kind of put these scary big creatures into the graveyard. We see Archon of Cruelty being one of them. Then you're supposed to be following it up with reanimation creatures or spells. The other side, we've got a Izzet Wizard. Now, our Wizard player here had been playing and utilizing a lot of Legacy as of late. They go to like monthly Legacy events. They've been grinding out Legacy for a long time. They haven't really played very much Modern in a while. They got back into it for a bit because they played like Jeskai Blink right before Flage was banned, and then Flage got banned, and they said, well, I still have all these tools. I play a lot of this sort of stuff in Legacy. I saw this sort of wizardy, Corey Steelcutter stuff, very similar to like a control shell hybrid elements from like the Jeskai, control list from Legacy. Let's see if we can try to fiddle something together and fuse two decks together in Modern. So we're going to see how things work out as these players sort of develop here. Now, I do have an Izzet Wizard / a twin deck, so I'm a big fan of it. But we see Emperor Bones coming out here. Now, there is a trigger. You can exile up to one or more creatures. You don't have to. I always like to, we see a bolt coming out here. I always like to go through that line of I'm only going to be exiling something if I know for sure I will be able to get it back immediately. Because you don't, in that moment, you don't want to get caught where it's like, I've exiled it and I can't adapt it, so it's going to get bolted and die, and then nothing happens, right? But we do see the Lore and Revealed going to go and find us a nice little Surveil land that's going to go to hand. So in order to flip Tamiyo, it's just a little bit harder in Modern compared to Legacy. You can't just brainstorm, but we do have some tools that can help us. Flame of Anor is an amazing card. Highly recommended if you're going to be running. And basically, it's the reason to run Wizards, right? All right, clue number 1, hitting the battlefield as Tamiyo comes across, sends a message for 0 here. Now, if you like our commentary and like what we're doing here, of course, make sure you guys are subscribing and following along, because we do have gameplay every Monday and Thursday, as well as a sprinkling of other content. We've started to do some of collection videos. We're starting to do a little bit of meta breakdowns coming up for Legacy. We're going to do a couple of dives into things here. There's the flame, so draw 2. Nothing else to activate here, but we will be able to flip Tamiyo immediately over to the Seasoned Scholar here. So allows us to be able to do some upticky, kind of blanket, prevent some damage that could be coming across. And we've got this sort of flashback mentality. Not quite flashback, but we get a return a spell. It does cost 3 to do that. So we do get to see, will we be able to find a reanimation spell to deal with this Tamiyo? A lot of resources just kind of refilled there. A lot of draws were able to get utilized for that turn for Izzet Wizard player. So now we're kind of going to have to find a way. No blue at the moment. Just have access to all black mana and red, of course. Double red, triple black available. Ooh, Unearthen. Oh, interesting. Okay. bringing back the Emperor. I like this. Our opponent's tapped out, and this also kind of is the, do they have a way to answer this? Right? They didn't mess with our Unearth, so this is kind of going, all right, it's safe. They don't have a force negation. Like where if you go for like a bigger, splashier one, like Persist or something, they're more likely to be able to sit there and try to go for like a force negation or something like that. In this case, they don't have a force negation, but Archon of Cruelty going to come out. We'll see a little bit of a sacrifice ability go on the stack. It's got so much line of text. This is both ETB and attack trigger. So when it enters or attacks, target opponent sacks a creature or planeswalker, discards a card, loses 3 life, and then you get to draw a card, gain 3 life. So it's like great like swinging advantage meter wise, right? Discard a land, lost our Tamiyo, and Archon does have haste, so we will be able to swing this across. Attack trigger, go back up to 23. Discard another land. Lose 3 more life. Archon hits. Oof, big swings here. I think the math is right. Let me know. This could be one of those moments where you're noticing. And again, try to leave a comment and let me know any of these moments where you might see a mistake, a mishap, something happening here that we're missing out on. All right, this will get exiled at the end. So that was the finding a slot there. Tamiyo follow-up. Now this gives us access to our Otawara that we could be able to use. But no, looks like we're going to pop a clue here. Pop the other clue. Tamiyo will be able to flip back over to the Seasoned Scholar. So we can kind of just basically reset things. Those drawing cards was pretty nice, though. We got access to a Force Negation now. Looks like a Lightning Bolt as well. 2 frogs, but no blue source here makes this a little bit tough. No more big threat in the yard, so that Persist in hand is not as useful. We do have the ability to try to flash back a Faithless Looting, but we have a Faithless Looting in hand. Perfect. Faithless Looting, any responses? Yeah, I like the idea of hitting that with the Force. You know, it's exiled. You know, there's no big scary thing yet. There could be something in hand that we want to stop, so it's like stop the discard, right? Not the reanimation. Because once something goes to the graveyard, it is so much harder because you basically have to counter every single reanimation spell after that. But if you can stop something from entering, that's a perfect window to be able to fight over stuff. It says, oh, we see here we were going to try to cast a frog. Did not get to. And we accidentally untapped one of our lands. All right. So a 4/4 coming across gets -1. 3 damage coming to the Izzet Wizard player. So yeah, you could make the argument, put pressure on Tamiyo, drop her down to 1 loyalty, prevents the ability to bring something back. Not bad, but we have a 4/4, so like unless a flame. So here's this next big moment. We see a bolt happening here against Emperor of the Bones. But Emperor of the Bones is a 2/2. When you adapt 2 and you put 2+1 counters on it. So it's a 4/4. So the bolt actually isn't enough to kill off the Emperor of the Bones here. Now, we do have Tamiyo with 4 loyalty. We could sit here and minus it down to 1 and get the bolt back. And we could do that route, but we don't, right? You notice we'll return a counter spell, and now we've got a Murktide follow-up. So a little bit of nuanced moments here between these players of just being like, we're so used to being like, oh yeah, Emperor dies when it doesn't have the adaptability, right? It's a 2/2. I'm so used to that. Cool, not a big deal. But in that moment, it was a 4/4 because we did adapt it earlier. It's not adapt 1, it's adapt 2. So little nuanced things here. But again, that's why we're playing this video this week in particular, because it's learning moments, right? There's so many cards in Magic now and so many chances for you to be like, you know, I assume, or I think I know how my cards work, or I think I know how my opponent's cards work, and there are these opportunities and moments for things to go wrong, right? Where you just sort of kind of get stuck in that moment of, oh, here's another Emperor, though. All right. And then they go through that confirmation of, all right, you're exiling anything from your graveyard. And it is a maze, so you don't have to. So again, I like that not doing it right away, like whether or not you have the mana to play. And we don't have it. We've missed our land drops as the Grixis Reanimator player, where the Izzet Wizard player is now having a big threat coming across. So here's 8 damage coming. We did gain some life off the Archon. We gained 6 life, which was really big. So we're taking 8. Now we're just sort of trying to find a way to deal with this. We need a way to get an Archon back. We need a way to potentially resolve a frog, but oh my gosh, 3 frogs, a spell pierce, but no blue mana. Maybe that initial fetch of not getting a steam vents there would have been a better thing. And we attempt to play another Emperor. That's going to be met with a counter spell, which we knew came back from the Tamiyo. So this is one of those moments where you could have been like trying to bait out some of the known information to get something prepped and ready for the following turn, right? I know there's this counter spell here. Let me try to jam out something and go from there. We're going to adapt here, but we can't adapt because we don't have 4 mana. And the Emperor of Bones costs 2, and it costs 2 to adapt it, so... But still bringing the pressure across. That's okay, too. You have to think about it as, oh, wait, that would probably still be here, right? The other one would still be on the battlefield, still being able to put Dama. And then there was a little mistrack of life here, because that would be swinging in with the Murktide, saying, I'll kill you, swing this in for lethal. I think they forgot to add the 6 life gain off of the Archon. So, I don't know. You let me know. Were those all the things that we missed in Game 1? Were there other moments that we missed? Leave a comment. Let me know.
Our gameplay to let you know about our new affiliate with NerdGear. nerdgear.gg/nanman will take you directly to the website, and as you can see, they've got a bunch of awesome gaming accessories from playmats, life counters with the life tracks, playmat holders, and more. So make sure you do some browsing on the site, find some goodies, and then use the code NGNanman for 5% off your entire order. But let's get back to our gameplay.
All right, let's get back into it, right? This is the learning episode. We're all here to learn, improve, become better Magic the Gathering players here, whether we're playing Modern, Legacy, Standard, Cube, Commander, Draft, whatever you want to do. Now, we did get to go and play in the pre-release. There was 22 players that came out for our pre-release event. Felt like it went pretty well. Overall, we got to do some OTKing. I had a cool little Hulk card that you could be able to power up and make it into an 11-10 with Trample. And then I had a double strike, team tactics or something like that. It was like 1 in a red. Target creature gains double strike until the end of turn. So I would just swing in with this Hulk as an 11-11, and I go, and now he's got double strike. Here's 22 damage. OTK you. And yeah, I did that like 3 times for the pre-release, but I was definitely tired by the end. It was like, I think a little bit after midnight, 12:30, 12:40 by the time the pre-release ended for me. It's been a while since I've been out gaming like that on an event, but I had fun. I, did a little short form video for y'all to enjoy of going to the pre-release. Of course, on my other social media stuff, I'll probably put it up here on YouTube as well. But if you're interested in seeing any of the short form content we do a lot of Cube related content over on Instagram and TikTokies and all that stuff. But let's get back into this match as Game 2 is underway here between Grixis Reanimator and our Izzet Wizard list. I like both these lists. I have both these lists. Some slight twist and variation because, me, I like to be able to play different decks. Of course, if you want to see any of the lists and decks that we feature on the channel, check them out on our Moxfield link. You can see links in the description for all that good stuff. But now we see the fetching up, getting our Surveil Land here. Going for the red-black one. Ruckus Theater. I think that might be Ruckus Theater, Meticulous Archive. Those are the ones that I know very easily, and the rest of them I sort of forget about. But something about the Ruckus Theater is easy for me to remember because it's the red-black one. Makes me think Rakdos Theater, which I think would have been a great name for it, but that's okay. Ooh, interesting. Feed the Swarm, we're going to pitch in. Part of that looks like we don't have access to the double. No, we do have double black there. So Feed the Swarm is a good one because we saw the Murktides, right? I like that option of having that card still available because we can kind of manipulate and do things. Now, being careful about jamming something into double blue. Again, it's sort of like how we set ourselves up. Wait, I think that Ruckus Theater should be untapped, right? All right, another Surveil lands. That seems to be, like, especially with certain decks, like two-color decks, I'd say just for the most part in a lot of modern decks, like, it's perfectly fine to run 2 Surveil lands. I've been having fun with it. Think I've run 2 in 1 to 2 in all of my decks. I don't think there's any deck now in Modern that doesn't have at least 1 Surveil land. Just that extra information of, like, I'm getting flooded right now. I've got 4 lands on the battlefield and 2 in hand. I just need to make sure I don't draw another land. And you just sort of go, oh, okay, perfect. Pitch that land to the graveyard. And just sort of that kind of sigh of relief that comes, whether or not you're going to be utilizing your graveyard later on, right? In the case of, like, the Grixis Reanimator, getting that, like, oh, I have an Archon on top. Immediately bin that. Put that in the graveyard. Not going to worry about that. Is definitely something to kind of consider. But it looks like Frog's going to try to get deployed here, which unchecked Frog can win games. So be careful if also we talked about this idea of those pivot points when you're fighting against Grixis Reanimator of I need to stop the cards that put things in the graveyard. Frog is one of those cards. So being able to stop that there is really nice. All right, passing the turn. Lorien Revealed will be deployed for an island cycling here. Let us go searching for an island. Put it into our hand. Basic island. What do y'all think about those basics there? Mark Pool. I like the art for that one a lot. Goes to hand. Untappies. Neither player really being able to deploy too much, but you just look at the amount of interaction that exists here for our wizard player. It is looking tough to kind of fight through, but Tamio is going to get deployed here. Ooh, an Oculus. So we could try to find a way to put that in the graveyard. We could just try to wait and hard cast it. I mean, we're sort of filling up on fuel right now. We're getting close relatively. Like, we can just continue with our game plan at this point. Continue going, all right, let's see, can I get another Frog out there? Can I try to interact with your Tamio here? How can I kind of set myself up to then try to hard cast it? And if it doesn't resolve, oh well, you countered it. I guess it goes to the graveyard, so now I can reanimate it. All right, Clue coming out here. Land for turn. Sink into Stupor. I like that. We haven't really seen. I like keeping Sink into Stupor a lot against Reanimator decks because I like being able to, oh, you've reanimated this thing back, like with Emperor. Now it has haste. I'll just bounce that and return it to your hand. Right? We'll do that. But having continuing to make your land drops is very important in a blue deck because of how much interaction that you need and how you want to kind of fight over the decks and what's happening. So I can understand that with how much counter spell you have, feeling comfortable enough to be able to say, I don't need to Sink to Stupor here. Oh, another Faithless Looting. All right, Faithless Looting. Oh, I love Test of Talents. It's been so long since I've seen this get played by anyone other than me. I run it in my sideboard for Infect, but you get to... It's a counter spell and a surgical extraction, all tied into one. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, this is big hits here. Now we get to see, looks like, Archon, Feed the Swarm... Fatal Push, which I like the idea of trying to Fatal Push this Tameo here.
You said exiled? Yeah, correct. They're exiled. Yep. Well, I can't flash them back. Do you want to copy them?
The double check, can you cast Oculus? Not yet.
Copy any of those?
You could even try to go feed the swarm over it, but I like the idea of Fatal Push here. All right. Fatal Push the Tameo, because the Tameo can get out of hand.
Really annoying. Oh, sorry. You're still copying.
I got it. You're good. Hey,
Shuffle it up.
and you're up.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like 2 mana left. There could be a counterspell, but again, if they're doing that on the Tameo, that's fine, because again, we're just sort of trying to fill our graveyard up here. Oh, you see this hesitation there. Do you see that? Okay, that was really, really good for our Izzet Wizard player. That I kind of want to pop this clue, but if I do, it leaves me vulnerable to that Fatal Push or the Feed the Swarms that I know of, and you've got that double black there. So there is this window. If your opponent tries to pop a clue, right? Activate this, draw a card. That's going to be essentially going on the stack. You can fight over those like stack battles, right? Oh, here's my window of opportunity to try to fight over this here. But now, like, these windows for fighting have become a little bit tougher. You see this Snapcaster Mage. Look at this. He even flipped it over. Goes, I'm going to be getting ready to deploy this. Before you discard, I would like to bring in this Snapcaster Mage. I love this idea. I did this a lot in the pre-release of play cards, because especially with newer cards or cards you might not sure your opponent are familiar with, you sort of have them turn towards your opponent. Hey, I'm playing this. I'm doing this. Pre-release, it's perfect because nobody really knows what the cards are. But all right, bringing the beats, making more clues. And this Snapcaster to put a threat is also here for utilizing our Flame of Anor, because very likely we're going to be flipping this Tameo soon. Like right now we're going to try. So there was plenty of clues, but that would be our spot to fight over it. We could also fight over it when the trigger goes on the stack to flip it. So there's lots of windows to fight over this Tameo here. All right, 1 mana left. I like this. Let's go for the now here, right? We don't have triple black, so I like the Fatal Push. Oh, we had a swamp in it. Oh, we went for the discard for the Archon. That's why. All right, Tameo is going to come out. Flipped over to the Seasoned Scholar. Do some upticking. Oh my gosh, so many flares right here. This is tough. That's also the great thing about Flare is you look at it and you go, oh, they're tapped out. They have 1 blue mana. They can't have a counter spell. But no, Flare of Denial is. All right, Island here. I don't know. I like the basic swamp in this situation over the basic island. Black and... Oh. All right. Persist attempting to get used. There's the Flare. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there's 5 cards in graveyard now. Or are we 6? Does Feed the Swarm only target creatures? Does it target planeswalkers? I can't remember. Let's look it up for science, right? Destroy target creature or enchantment an opponent controls. Or you lose life equal to that permanent. Feed the Swarm is a great card to bring in because oftentimes people will bring in graveyard hate. Sometimes it's enchantments that are hard to deal with, especially if this was like a Jeskai list, like there was a couple of white sources and oh, surprise, they had like Rest in Peace. It's not in this case, but you know that could be a way to enchantments that you might worry about. Leyline of the Void is another one, right? But for the most part, just more removal. Also, Feed the Swarm is sorcery. So that I was making the comment of trying to do Feed the Swarm and Fatal Push all in one turn, but really you can't because it's sorcery. Which might have been something you guys were yelling at home when you were watching this or listening to this. All right, there's a swamp. Also, I really like the white bordered lands here. Prismari Charm. This is starting to see a bit of play at both Modern and Legacy here. A little bit of flexibility here. Choose one of them. Right. Surveil 2, draw a card, which is going to be the mode we're choosing. You can have it deal 1 damage to up to 2 targets. So there's a decent number of 1 toughness creatures there. So let's pop a clue. All of this, of course, letting us do the fun interacting with spells and doing stuff on our opponent's turn. And look at, we got so much mana now. Where I think our Grixis Reanimator player got locked in on, like, I need to just set myself up for the reanimation stuff. And they're getting closer to being able to activate and cast a Oculus, or hard cast it. But we're going to attempt to do a frog. But this is dangerous. With our opponent having so much mana, we'll see how they respond to it. Because I like the idea of Snapcaster Mage is fine. Cast the counterspell. This is tough too because they're leaving up the option for more interaction here. So I like the idea of. I still like the idea of trying to deploy the Archon here. Because if they counter it, we're ready to reanimate it next turn. You see the push. Ooh, there's a Murktide getting ready. At least we have the Feed the Swarm to deal with Murktide this time. Yeah, you see the hover over Feed the Swarm. That's that new Secrets of Strixhaven art. It's got like a giant mantis there. That's a cool one. All right. Fetching, finding our island here. Another Snapcaster. Always keeping our wizard count up. There's a scary thing coming, though. Look at the count of loyalty that Tameo has. Fetch, drop into 15. Still have access to a fatal push here. You see this counting? Oh no. Tameo is about to get ultimate. I don't know if you have fought against anybody that has ultimated a Tameo. I've been able to do it a couple of times. I've fought against it a couple times, and it's basically like game over. They get so much interaction, counterspell, everything. He says I'm gonna draw 16 cards and have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. Hope that's cool with you. I got no way to stop that, sadly. And now we have ways to close the game out. Look at this. Here we go. Corey Steelcutter going to be the big one to do that. Allows us to utilize all of our cantrippy spells to help us set ourselves up. Be able to kind of close out the game. Put some pressure on our opponent. Spell number 2, Prismari Charm. Triggers will make a monk. What modes are we going to do? Surveil, right? There's nothing else worth targeting here. We're not going to target our own creatures to deal 1 damage. Yeah, let me kill my Snapcaster Mage real quick. Just give you a fighting chance. Trying to decide how to stack them. You see this, like, do I need those? No, we'll put them both in there. I like that. Trying to work through it all. Like, wait a minute. How do I? It's okay if I do this way. Like, because that is important to know, right? Let's deal 1 to you. Draw 2 cards. Discard a card. Discard these 2 lands. We don't need them. Combat. Bring the beats. There's 5. Of course, 3 off the monk. It's the prowess trigger. And then 2 from the snapcaster. Pretty powerful turn. And now it looks like the coast is clear. Hard cast are, or not Archon. Hard casts are,
I'm going to tap a black. I'm going to thought seize myself.
this is, all right, so we're going to thought seize ourselves. Reveal the hand, and we're gonna. So instead of just trying to hard cast it here, we're gonna be going into like pivot route 2, where I like the idea of going in and trying to target our opponent here. We also have a fatal push, though. We could have fought and done it that way, right? But now we're seeing this. Okay, I'd like to try to unearth. Where the unearth, like we talked about earlier, is the unearth can be the backup plan. My main plan is to try to counter or bring it back, but Surgical's going to come out and just say no. You would like to try to target that with this unearth, and I'm going to strip away all those. Surgical's such a good card. I mean, especially in Modern and Legacy, just having instant speed ability to interact with your opponent's graveyard shenanigans is very important there. So we do see this sort of strip away, not going to be allowed to do anything about it. And there are the remainder. We do a quick look through. What else am I scared and worried about in this list? Double feed the swarm and push. All right, pass. I think that's the tough thing, too, when you get so locked in on a specific game plan that you're like, okay, I need to get this to the graveyard. I need to reanimate it. Not thinking about, like, the idea of, oh, wait, no, I can do this, like, pivot mode. I can switch and do it slightly different, right? So now we're shocking ourselves because we just need access to a little bit more mana, specifically because we've got these... I mean, how big could we go? We could just dump knowing that there's all the feed the swarms, right? Let's see. Oh, but we have the Murktide already. Okay, so here's how this is going to be working out here. Murktide, we have a Quarry Steel Cutter. We can do some equipping. Here's an 8/8, becomes a 9/9, and then just close out the game, swing everybody in. We got to see this also at the Four Seasons Legacy event we were commentating over the previous weekend there. Very powerful way to close out. That second, again, we keep talking about this second line of text on cards, right? We get so used to, oh no, the Quarry Steel Cutter just makes monks, right? But also, it gives the equipped creature +1/+1 haste. So, Here's Tamiyo. Second spell. Trigger. We'll make another monk. All right, there's the equip to Murktide. There you go. Second line attacks. And let's just do some more damage here. I mean, more spells we're dumping, the bigger the monk's going to get, right? Let's do 2 triggers for the prowess. Help track it over here. 0 damage. I'm just basically cycling this, right? Pay 2, draw 2, discard a card is pretty good when it comes to a prowess deck like this. All right, bring the beats. Technically, 1 monk can attack because it doesn't have haste, but that doesn't matter. We have enough damage with the Murktide, with the other monk, with Snapcaster there to kind of close it out there. So not too bad. I hope you guys will get to see a little bit of sideboardy cards and some stuff there. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Again, the idea of releasing this one to start the week was to kind of talk through and learn from different lines, learn through how to attack or defend with certain decks. Also learning about certain, keeping track of our life totals is important. Keeping track of certain cards is important. But, learning experience, right? But yeah, that is it for our Monday episode. Make sure you guys are following along, subscribing for all the other action we've got over here on the channel. We'll have more stuff, of course, Monday, Thursday, and the sprinkling of content on the weekends. But thanks for tuning in and watching, y'all. I'll see you all next game.